afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. I am your host, Asaph Adonai, and on my left we have Ian here. I don't know your last name.
Ian Karstens.
Karstens?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Ian Karstens. He's going to be our guest on this version here. We just recruited this young man here. And then affectionately on my further left, Emmett, our aging rocker.
Yeah.
He is known as our aging rocker.
Yeah.
Emmett, our aging rocker. And let's see what time it is here. It is, okay, 3:32. Perfect. This is perfect timing.
Yeah.
Now, the premise of this show, all you do is just talk to me or Emmett as I play the piano about whatever you want to talk about.
Cool.
That's it.
All right.
I mean, you know, we don't. You know what we used to do when I first did this show. I used to walk the streets downtown and just recruit folks, spur of the moment, like what we did with you. But
Yeah.
that started getting a little bit too difficult after a while. You know, just grabbing someone impromptu and go and putting them on TV. So we started inviting people in advance to make sure.
Yeah.
But it's always so fun to recruit someone spur of the moment. So I'm going to play Chariots of Fire for you.
I think I'll start us out with a prayer. Often I do.
Oh,
that.
go, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Bless our time, Heavenly Father, and our food and everything in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, let's
Yeah.
try it again. You know this song, right, Ian?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see the movie to this?
Yeah, just recently.
Really?
I used to help a woman with Parkinson's, and we found this in her,
Oh, really?
tucked away behind her bed, and this was like her favorite movie,
Yeah.
and I had never seen it, and she's like, "Oh, you gotta stay another hour and a half and watch this."
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it was.
I'm going to stop there, short version of
Yeah.
that. Well, then you'll get this DVD version later so you can show it.
Cool.
You can show it to your
will.
family, your friends, everything, and
I'll
then
send it to her.
whatever you're getting started here with the MCAT studio. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'll have something to take home today, and you know, for starters, and then whatever projects you're going to be doing in the future, you get to do it.
Oh, did you want
Excellent.
some of this? Since
Yes, I'll
it's
take
you-
some of
yeah.
that. Would you like some of this here?
Looks like an
I'm
alien
okay.
drink from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Emmett likes it when I play
Yeah.
Star Trek. I'll do that for you.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Star Trek?
Bits and pieces.
Oh.
I know, I'm a little ashamed.
Well, you're gonna love it if you see the first series in 1966. William Shatner, and see the whole thing. Ah! I don't know if you're a big science fiction fan. I don't know.
I am.
Then you'll love it. You'll
I'll love it.
flip out. You're gonna go nice because I think the first series was better than the second. Some episodes of the second series I like, you know, Star Trek: The Next Generation, but that one with Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock and what they went through is incredible. Lasers and these are all lasers and spacers, but there's a lot of action and fighting and just oh man.
Oh man.
They had a big marathon of because it's the 50th anniversary of Star Trek on September the 8th. So they had a few on BBC America 167. They had a marathon of the old Star Trek. As a matter of fact, I missed one of them on Sunday night because I had to go to sleep. I was sleeping Sunday night and just fell asleep.
man.
Woke up and I thought, is this Monday night at 8 o'clock or is this 8:30 a.m. in the morning? What is this? I thought, oh wait, I must have fallen asleep because I fell asleep hard. And I missed one of my favorites, Amok Time. The one where Mr. Spock
Well, you gotta
has-
remember this young
Yeah, I
man
know.
probably won't know.
I know. The one where Mr. Spock has to go to his home planet and get married because he experiences Ponfar, you know, the mating drive, you know, every 7 years of an adult Vulcan's life, you know.
Yeah, they have to
And-
endure that every 7 years.
And it was involved with
Married.
fighting, and there was ritual and ceremony and dramatic music and incident. Man, it's one of my favorite ones of all time.
Slept through it.
Yeah, and I slept through it, and I've seen it since I was a child, since I was 5 years old, and it's one of my favorites. So dramatic, and the whole Vulcan hike, it is unbelievable.
Well, you know, they were showing they had a 50 years Star Trek just last Saturday on MeTV,
Yes,
and
yes.
they were showing clips of different Star Trek episodes
Yeah.
throughout, you know, like a commercial break. So they were showing scenes of this episode that Emmett's talking
Yeah,
about.
that was one of my favorites. That was such a
Cool.
good one, and they drew it out.
Yeah.
Finally, at having they got to the planet, you know, Vulcan, and it was so drawn with incense and mystery, and because that's how it is. There's no logic
Yeah,
to
it was
Vulcan
pretty
anymore. Your
intensive,
emotions
that
are stripped
episode.
out, and just
And you know how Spock is so cool and
collected.
well, once for a while, every 7 years, he loses it. All the Vulcans lose it. See,
of course,
they go crazy. Probably the price for all the years of hope.
Exactly.
And so he nearly kills Captain Kirk.
Because they have to fight to the death. Because
they have to fight to the death.
This Vulcan that did not marry him, so she chose to divorce him by the Caliphate. I don't want to ruin the whole episode for you.
That's all right.
And they had to find, chose Captain Kirk and their best friends to fight to the death. I mean, one of the things, the dramatic music going to dun dun dun.
It goes something like this. Let's see if I can figure it out.
And then Dr. McCoy said, "What do you mean after if he survives the iron wound? This combat is to the death." And Mr. Spock was right with a weapon, and his eyes blazing. He was going to kill his own captain. It was wow. And there was incense all over it. And I slept through that. Oh man, I slept through it.
Yeah, but no, that's a fun show. And you were dating ourselves talking about Star Trek.
Right.
I'm old enough to remember when that was first on the air.
Yeah.
And
I still get goosebumps when I see that episode. It's so dramatic. And even, just wow. And just for that time, it broke barriers. Even with the violence and some of the other topics, it broke barriers for that time, social conditions in 1966, 67. It was a more repressed society.
That's what was good about Star Trek. And I know this is before your time, but they had an episode on there that got the Science Fiction Award. There was an episode where these creatures were half black, half white. One was black on the right side, and the other was white on the right side. So the race that was black on the right side didn't like the race that was white on the right side. And so it was dealing with racism. And that was an interesting concept, that the ones that were black on the right side didn't like the ones that were white on the right side. And they wiped out their whole race because of their prejudice. And so there were 2 remaining aliens left. And Captain Kirk and the Enterprise crew was trying to get them to make peace before they slaughter the entire race. And that's what that episode was basically about. And so that's why I got the Science Fiction Award for dealing with that.
Oh, it's one of the best, and especially for that time in the 60s.
It's still relevant today.
Yeah.
And I think that's why the magic of Star Trek works, because even though they were dealing with the relevant topics then, it's still relevant today. See.
Sadly,
so that's why. That's
sadly.
why.
Yeah.
But that was a good episode.
Cool.
I mean, they wiped out their whole planet because they couldn't get past their racial differences.
Exactly.
And stuff. And so Captain Kirk and the crew was trying to get these last 2
Yeah.
on that planet. A planet called Charon.
Yep.
I just love science fiction. So that's what this was about. That particular episode. It's one of the best Star Trek episodes I think they ever made.
Exactly.
That still holds the test of time to this day.
Wow.
Even though that's way before your time.
Cool.
Well, let me ask you some questions about you, and
Sure.
you can take this home too. Now, is today your first visit here at the MCAT studio?
It's my first day. My first visit.
Okay, and you're, well, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to be on the show. This will give you an idea. You never know what you're going to expect here at the MCAT studio. Are you going to be producing shows?
Well, yeah, I think so. I'm a
Good for you.
filmmaker, and I've been doing a lot of that, and I ran a multimedia lab in Iowa.
Oh,
so
excellent.
this whole setup is a comfortable place for me.
Good
On
for
this side
you.
of the camera is a little bit new.
Well,
but
they
I
say
dig
that
it.
that's hard
It's
for
nice.
some directors to get in front of the camera. It's like Ron Howard, you know. Of course, he was Opie on the Andy Griffith Show, so he probably got used to it. But a lot of directors, like yourself even, they like to be behind the scenes, and it's harder for them to be on camera. So this would be a good experience for you, because you might get
It
on.
is a good experience.
You might get on Entertainment Tonight for real one day, and be interviewed there.
Yeah. All
So
right.
tell me more about your project. You're producing shows already, or will be here? Or
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, thinking about it.
do you have any idea what kind of shows you might want to do, like science fiction shows or documentary shows, or?
I have some experience doing documentary films. I'm really interested in like doing more small documentaries, almost little like vignettes.
Yeah,
Like
little
maybe
shorts,
little short art films that are really just about like Andy Warhol, for instance, just filming a New York City street for 12
Yeah.
hours straight. That kind of thing.
Well, if I
it's
can
really
help you,
nice
I'd
to
love
be-
to help you through the piano and to put some music in the background for your projects.
Sure. Oh, I'd love that. Or a project like just watching you play.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And I've worked with modern dancers a lot. Where I was living in Iowa, I was really in tight with them. So they would dance, and I would film them just as another dancer. So
Yeah.
I was really, really liking that kind of responsive type
Yeah.
stuff. So
That's pretty cool.
who knows what I'm gonna do.
Well, you got my card, so anytime I can help you, or if Emma can help you, we'd all love to help you.
You bet. And I'd love to help you. Which
Yeah.
is why I'm here.
Well, you know, the university, you'll probably see it, it's already on YouTube. They did a documentary on me as a pianist about a year or so ago.
Cool.
And it wound up winning best documentary in the Magic City Short.
Oh,
So I'm really, I'm very humbled. I'm more
Alright.
happy for the director of the film. And it was funny because I told Emmett this story. I almost walked off in the middle of the project. Like, I'm done. I quit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, see, originally there were two directors. And, you know, two directors sometimes can just butt heads,
Sure.
you know?
Sure.
And so the main director, he had a vision. He knew what he wanted when he was doing this documentary on me. You know, like they were following me with cameras. They were coming to my home and everything and just capturing footage, right, to
Uh-huh.
put it together.
Sure.
And the second director didn't like the way the first director was handling it.
Oh,
So he came up to
boy.
me secretly, privately, says, Asaph, I don't like this documentary. Let me do my own personal documentary of you. So that turned into two documentaries that were done, right?
Uh-huh.
But during their clashing, I was just getting frustrated.
Uh-huh.
Not mad at them personally,
Sure.
just the way it was coming across. And my first thought was, oh man, I'm done.
Yeah, yeah.
And the only reason why, and I told him at this story, the only reason why I didn't quit is because they had spent money on me. So I thought I wanted to be fair about that.
Sure.
You know, like when they rented the concert hall at the university and catch me playing the piano, that they had like this 9-foot Liberace Grand piano, so I didn't want to walk out in the middle of that.
Sure.
And I'm
Sure.
glad I did. It's
That's
funny
tough.
because when I was on the verge of quitting, the thing ends up winning. I'm talking about the main director.
Uh-huh.
Now the second guy, when he did his documentary, it just never went anywhere or whatever. But I'm glad he did it. But where I'm going with this story is I'm glad I didn't quit.
Yeah, right.
And I tell you, I was just really that close.
Mm-hmm.
If it weren't for the money that they spent, I would have quit.
Yeah.
And it would have never happened. So,
Uh,
yeah, the name of the documentary is called A Portrait of Asaph. You can see it on YouTube.
oh, far out. All
Check
right.
it out. But
Cool.
getting back to you and your projects, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's
And I'd
a
love
big,
to
wide
be a
open door
small
right
part
now.
of it, just do some piano stuff here.
You bet.
But let's talk about this MCAT for a second. Emmett has his own show.
Yeah, the awful truth about society. I've done it for about over 20 years. I expose the evils of society like work, school, the government, child abuse, and give a solution from a Christian and anarchist and punk point of view and try to lead people to the Lord. Even though I'm no longer technically a punk rocker, I'm in a leather jacket, but, you know,
Yeah,
I had to retire
and
because of
so-
old age and health problems. But I used to be a really hardcore punk rocker. I mean, back when
Yeah.
I was 25 out here, I
He
was
had the
listening
hair,
to
yeah.
punk since I was 20 and about your age, and then
Who's your favorite band?
the Sex Pistols.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna get along just fine, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I used to have a mohawk,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
a
he had the, you
hair,
can
and
see the
leather
early
jacket
clips. He had
chains
and
and everything.
everything. Yeah,
Awesome.
his show is really good,
Yeah.
but it's more
Check it
serious.
out.
Whereas this
Yeah,
one is
exactly.
more comical.
Sure.
You know, when we were talking about Superman and Star Trek. But you know, my point is, you're gonna have fun with the people you associate here
Oh yeah,
at
totally.
MCAT. And did Scott tell you about his own show?
He didn't. No.
He
I
has a
didn't ask
show
him.
called Wake Up Missoula. That's more of a news talk show would be the way to describe that.
Okay. Okay.
And so he and Noelle, you haven't met her yet, but you will. Their set's right over here, and
Okay.
you can go on YouTube and see Emmett's show
Yeah.
or their show to give an idea for what you might want to do.
Cool.
Um,
Right on.
what they do is they like do the city council reports and you
Okay.
know news things that might be going on in the community and stuff like that. So it's more of like a talk show, more like a
Yeah.
news kind of thing.
Okay.
And where I come in is I just play the piano softly while they're actually reporting the news is the way to describe it.
Yeah.
And then they have a segment called Musical Notes where I do all these entertainment stories.
Uh,
I don't get into their personal lives. I just talk about
Yeah.
the accomplishments, like their awards to the arts.
okay.
You know, if they got an Academy Award or this, and I'll talk about people from the past or present stuff like that. Just fun little segments that I do. These
Fascinating.
3 or 4
Awesome.
minute segments.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I'm just
That's
sharing that
excellent.
with you to give you an idea when you start doing your own thing here. This is a wonderful organization, this MCAT studio, and they have some wonderful people here.
Yep.
Alright.
And I think you're gonna like it here.
Alright,
I think
man.
you're gonna like your association here.
Yeah.
It's
me
almost
too.
like one big family.
It is.
Yeah. No, totally.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Joel is the general manager, and you'll meet
Okay.
Lori. She's the programming director.
And Christian and the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, Christian and
Okay.
Scott, and you've met Scott, so
Yeah.
they're good people. Noel, all of them, and they'll help you.
Cool.
They'll help you put shows together, edit, whatever,
Alright.
and stuff like that.
Cool.
But Emmett,
Alright.
he's just like legend here,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned.
Nice.
Uh,
Were you a punk rocker then? You said you would get along since I like punk rock. Were you a punk rocker at one time?
Yeah, in high school, like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols, I was big into.
Oh, I
them.
love that. Did you
And,
have a
mosh
wow?
pitting and stuff?
Oh, I used to love mosh pitting. I used to love.
Punched my principal in the stomach once.
Wow, cool, cool.
Yeah. Well, it was cool then. That's
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
But
Wait, would you have a mohawk and a leather jacket and spiked hair and orange hair?
I didn't do that. No, I was undercover.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was big into that. And I've got lots of relatives in Chicago, and they kept sending me records and things like that. So
Wonderful.
Yeah. But
Well, what really set it off is I've been big into slam dancing because I'm addicted to mosh pit. I'm addicted to slam dancing. Whenever there's a show, I'm slam dancing. That's how I broke my finger at a Casualties concert. I love the Casualties. But it was another band called Time Again, one of the opening bands, and someone slammed into me right here, TV static, and broke it. And I didn't feel it was just too busy, but it's because it's an addiction for me. I love it, and I'll slam dance just for 2 or 3 hours at a time, even to the opening bands. I love it. I love the feel of it. It's a very, very strong addiction. Since you've been slam dancing, it's an adrenaline rush.
yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. And I
That's-
love being in there
Yes.
and noticing someone who is almost unconscious or something.
Yeah.
And I love how then a group of people will just out of nowhere grab this person and bring them out.
Exactly.
I've been in
yes.
large
Mm-hmm.
concerts where if someone is going down,
Yeah.
someone's already there to pick them up.
I
And a
love
place
that.
Yeah.
you think is very violent, but as
Exactly.
soon as it crosses this line,
Exactly. That's
people are
very
just
good.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. You're
I love that, yeah.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah, same here. The reason I had to retire out of respect for the punk rock movement, I used to be very hardcore, and I used to be able to slam dance at Jay's. That's a bar that closed years ago, and whatever else in the Casualties, and not even feel it the next day. Now I was over at the Dropkick Murphys gig over here at the university. I don't know if you ever heard of Dropkick Murphys. I love Dropkick Murphys. They came to town,
Sure.
and I slam danced for about 2 or 3 hours. And of course I love The Boys Are Back. The boys are back and they're looking for trouble. There are these good, young kids about in their 20s, big burly guys just were slam dancing and doing my best and going back in the back for drinks and just trying to do this. The next day I was bruised up and I had felt like I'd been in a blender and I could barely get out of bed and my legs were bruised and my ribs were bruised. It felt like they were almost ready to break, and I realized I can't do this anymore. I'm 46, 47. I can't hardly do this anymore. I used to do it like nothing. I'm in my late 40s. Oh, and I prayed, Lord.
Yeah.
And then guess what? I think the big kicker was I met one of my bankers down at my bank, and he was in the student and he said, "Did you like the slam dancing over at Dropkick Murphys? It was great. My banker did it better than I did." And I went, Lord,
The banker.
yeah, Lord, I used to be so hardcore, but Lord, I can't do this anymore. And if I'm gonna be a punk rocker, I gotta still be able to slam dance. I can't keep up with the kids anymore. I mean, they don't need someone old like this who can't keep up. I'm worried if I'm gonna keep up with this, try and keep up with this, I'll break in a mosh pit one of these days, or I'll get into. Lord, if it is all the same to you, do you mind if I just retire? I never thought I would say those words. I thought it was going to be punked into my 80s. I would never sell out. I'm not selling out, Lord. I think it's just for the respect of the others. Other punks, I can't do this anymore. I'd be a fifth wheel, getting in the way more than helping if I can't physically keep up.
Word. Yeah. Word.
And the Lord just seemed to say, Emmett, What do you want? It's up to you. If you want to remain punk, great. If you want to stop it, that's okay. It's up to you. Whatever you decide, that's wonderful. And I said, with all due respect, Lord, with the punks, if you don't mind, I'd like to retire. And said, okay.
Yeah, and so he retired, and so now that's why I call him our aging rocker.
Yeah,
Which
I still love the music, and I have the ideals because I still hate society and conformity. You know, I don't regret it, and if I had to do almost all over again, I would.
Yeah.
And it was very important, but physically I can't slam dance. And if I were to see a mosh pit, I would go in like a moth to a flame because it's an addiction.
Yeah.
It's like alcohol. If you're addicted to alcohol, you cannot drink anymore.
Well, this is a great way to start your association with MCAT. You're hanging out with a bunch of old guys, old geezers,
that's
you know.
Not too bad.
We're old guys.
And I love the slam dance, and I used to be so good at it, but now I'm just not because of age. Age will slow you down. You're only, I guess, how old are you?
24.
And,
you got a long way to go.
Yeah, you're physically fit.
When I was your age, I used to run track, you know, when I was your age. And I told them, they used to call me Steve Austin from an old television show called The $6 Million Man. He was so fast. That was my nickname, Steve Austin.
Right. Okay.
You know. But see, all this goes way before your time, so we're really dating ourselves.
It's cool. It's cool.
But yeah, I ran track, and now, oh God, I just ache just thinking of the idea of running. When I used to do it, I mean, you know, we may not physically necessarily look our age, but it's the inner workings of the body.
Exactly.
So enjoy it while you can, my friend.
And I've got arthritis on my feet too.
Yeah, enjoy it while
and
you're
some
young.
other thing. I mean, how would it look to the other punk rockers if this was winter and there was another, concert, some other gig going on, and I said, well, I want to slam dance, but I've got to take my arthritis medication for my arthritis pain that's been prescribed. I'll look like they'll laugh me out the door. Come on, they'll think it's a joke. What's this old man hanging around with arthritis medication? It won't look right. It won't look like rebellion. It'll look like idiot, like I'm a clown or something.
Well, I got plans for Emmett anyway in the future. So
Right.
one of the shows that I had done got picked up by PBS.
Okay.
And once I get it on the air, I'm going to use him as one of the regular characters. Character.
And besides, I've always loved easy listening, but even more in my old age, while I still love punk rock and some heavy metal, what I like to do is just listen to Gordon Lightfoot and Neil Diamond a lot more easy listening than I used, because I used to just drink beer a lot and just listen to punk rock all day. Now often it's more Gordon Lightfoot and older music. I mean, I always loved it. But, I mean, if that's what I'm doing, if that's where I'm at, just puttering around in the flower garden, that doesn't really look too punk rock. It doesn't look hardcore raw. I mean, I've written books and
try out like martial arts or something.
I've done that.
I did that for like 7 years.
I've done that when I was a kid. I took the martial arts, but even then, I don't think that they'd have me in the martial arts again. I know the martial arts and I love it, but I have arthritis on my feet and also Dupuytren's. It's a hereditary disease, so I can still fight, but I can't just train all that time or be an instructor with arthritis in my toes and that kind of.
I was just at a Tai Chi class this morning. That may be your speed, and this one was like also understanding the martial aspect. Yeah. But it was more about
it's pretty good. Yeah. I'm just it's not kind of me. Really not for me. I thought about it, but I took a keto too. Just one of those things. I've already done that. I have enough knowledge to defend myself, but I've never really wanted to make a career out of it. Some people do.
It doesn't feed that.
Right, it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah. But I'm glad you love the music. Do you like Nine Inch Nails or Ministry?
I had some friends that were really into that, so I'm familiar with it. But I'm more interested in. Well, I was more into like the kind of Iron Maiden type, like really kind of flashy almost.
Yeah, I don't like Iron Maiden, but I like Social Distortion. I like the old Discord scene, old State of Alert Youth Brigade, some of the old stuff from the early 80s. I've got old collections. Minor Threat, I love Minor Threat. I love Minor Threat. The old Ramones, not the newer Ramones.
That's alright.
But the old Ramones, I love the old Ramones. I love Exploited. A lot of English bands, they Exploited. I love that. And I love what they talk about. They talk about social injustice and poverty and even, racism. They're against racism, but they're so angry about it. It's like, I love, like, total chaos. They have an excellent song, "The End of White Supremacy," and they're just against racism. This is wrong, but they're so angry about it. You know, if you were a skinhead, you'd either want to fight or just run away. They make no bones about it. They're against all that stuff, and that's what I love about the punks. You know, they're against racism, that kind of thing. If you were to say a whole bunch of racialist things, they'll kick you out of the bar.
Right.
They won't allow that at all. At all. You know, they just won't, you know.
I dig that. Yeah.
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 Well, you know, I think racism is the stupidest thing.
It is,
really-
absolutely.
you know, I learned how ridiculous that was. My father, I come from an Air Force family, and so when I was about, probably the 2nd or 3rd grade, my father was stationed in Taiwan,
Oh.
and my parents used to go to this. They had like the Monday Night Football in Taiwan.
Okay.
It's just a bunch of Asian people actually, and it was like almost like the Wide World of Sports. It was a big deal.
Okay.
And then after that was over, my father would they'd go in this room like those old Richard Gere movies, and they'd be playing poker, you know, just in the smoky room, and you know, just
Sure.
speaking the Asian language, and you know, the only color they saw was green, you know, when they're like playing poker. And my
Yeah.
father was the only dark-skinned person there, all these Asian folks, and I used to see that, and I think, you know, this is cool.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
You know, and that's where I That's where I got some of my first lessons in life, that it doesn't matter what race, or creed, or nationality,
Exactly.
or whatever. This stuff.
I've got allergies, so don't remind me. I've got seasonal allergies, you know.
Well, he's got his little napkins there.
No big deal, man.
But no, really,
Cool.
racism is the stupidest thing. And you know, I'm old enough to remember what went on in the civil rights era.
Yeah.
Can you believe in this country, when I was a boy, they literally had signs on the drinking fountains, like
Yeah.
organizations, that said whites and coloreds?
Yeah.
That actually happened in my childhood.
Yeah.
And if you were, they didn't have the term African American then at that time. So, you know, you had to drink out the fountain that was designated for you in this country, in the United States. And so that was just the most ridiculous thing
Yeah.
then, just as it is now. And of course, the civil rights movement went on to come into existence, and they were fighting against that, how stupid that is.
Yeah.
It's really dumb.
Yeah, it
My
is.
sister's married to a white guy. They've been married, what, 22 years?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, really.
It should not matter. You know, and I'm not here to convert anybody or,
Right.
or preach. I'm just stating a fact. It shouldn't make any difference whether you're black, white, Asian, Hispanic,
Exactly.
whatever. It should not matter. If Captain Kirk can make out with a green lady on TV,
Yeah.
think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a joke I always throw in, you know. If he could do that, then we ought to be able to get along with
Yeah.
We ought to be
Exactly.
able to get along.
Yeah, you know, with the color thing and all that. So, but
Uh,
that's the United States for you.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's come a long ways, though. I mean, I know you weren't alive during
Yeah.
that time, but it was a pretty dark time in
Yeah.
American history. When you see those black and white footages of the southern states when they were spraying folks with the,
Yeah.
that actually
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So I have two moms, and my birth mom, it took her years to
Mhm.
recover from that, because she actually was in that more than me. And the reason I was protected is because my father was in the Air Force. You know, when you were military, you had you didn't get rights necessarily, but you had more protections because you were in the military.
Yeah.
But you know, you could be like Muhammad Ali, the greatest
Yeah.
fighter ever. I don't know if you know him, but it's funny. He would go to Rome, you know, in the Olympics. He gets the gold medal, comes back to the United States, and still has to walk in the back of a restaurant and things
Yeah.
like that. That's the way it was in this country then. But it's come a long ways now, you know. We have an African American president for the last 8
Yeah.
years. That's a change. And we might be on the verge of a woman president. If that happens, that would be a major change too. So I'm not talking about the politics side. I'm just talking about the concept of an African American and a
Yeah.
possible woman
Yeah.
in the White House, and was unthinkable when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
That was just the last thing that anybody would think would ever
Yeah.
happen when I was
Yeah.
growing up in that civil rights movement era. Because even the big movie stars like Nat King Cole, I don't know if you would know him, but like Nat King Cole, for example, had the #1 television show on NBC at that time in the world,
Cool.
and even he had to
Yeah.
in a restaurant, in the back, and everybody would know who this man was because he was on TV all the time. And that's just how silly this.
Yeah. Wasn't Louis Armstrong African American? Was he?
Yes,
or
he
not?
was African American.
Yeah. I'm sure he experienced the same thing.
Oh,
and he
yeah,
wonderful
he did
music,
too.
He
canceled a lot of concerts in those years.
Really?
Louis Armstrong behind that.
Yeah.
Just on principle.
That's good. Yeah.
Like they would ask him to play for certain white audiences.
Yeah.
But then he wouldn't be allowed, or his people at that time, as they called it, wouldn't be allowed to do certain things. Like, you all gonna be like that? I'm not playing this trumpet.
Exactly.
Because he was like the greatest trumpet player ever. I mean, you could look him up, Louis Armstrong.
I know him.
And he
yeah,
had
that guy could
songs
play.
as well,
That guy could play anything on the trumpet, and
Mhm.
so he had like control. He's like Sinatra. I don't know if you know Sinatra or not. They have certain control.
Yeah.
It's like he was in such demand that they start kind of straightening up a little bit. We gotta get Louis Armstrong here. We better start changing our tune a little bit.
Yeah, which is great.
Oh, we're not gonna get these concerts, and then they'll start losing money. Sinatra did the same thing. There was a thing where he had an association with Sammy Davis Jr. I don't know if you would know Sammy. Well, anyway, they had this thing where Sinatra was invited to do this like big major concert. Like we're talking probably into the millions, monies that would circulate into this concert. But they didn't want Sammy Davis to perform on that show with Sinatra, and he's like, "Wait a minute, Sammy's my friend. If he don't sing, I don't sing." And he walked off, right? And they start losing money. So they start changing their tune a little bit. We better let this man sing. If we want Sinatra, we better do it. But see where I'm going with this is Sinatra and Louis Armstrong and a bunch of these people, whether they're black and white, there were a lot of people that were fighting back and saying how this was not right. And they start using their influence to fix that.
All art is political.
Yeah, that's right. They were fixing that, and this is in my lifetime as a kid. So, America's come along. We still got a long way to go.
Yeah,
there's no question about that. But as a whole, it's improving somewhat. But see, it shouldn't be like that anyway.
No,
it really shouldn't. You don't want to end up like that Star Trek episode, half black and half white,
exactly.
and wipe out everybody,
Right,
and so on. Well, let's see. Let's change it and go back to you for a second. Now, are you still in high school or college? Or?
No, I graduated college 2014.
Here in Missoula?
No, in Iowa at Luther College.
Now, what brings you to Montana from Iowa?
My partner, she's gonna be working at the Mansfield Library as a faculty librarian, web services librarian. So
excellent.
Yeah, so she was really looking forward to that.
Oh, good for you. So I'm glad to hear. So that just brings you here too. Well, you're gonna like it here. This is a smaller city, obviously, than maybe in Iowa. I don't know.
It's bigger than where we were last, but it's a nice size.
I went through. I think it was Nebraska. Is that over there near Iowa?
It's getting there, getting close.
Well, this is gonna sound crazy, but when I was on my way to college at that time from New York, and I had to go through Nebraska, and I stopped through, and there was this farmer out there that invited me to have dinner with his family at that time, and he showed me his farm, and he raised pigs and stuff, and there was this one big pig that just came right up to me with a snoot. It was like that was his way of saying hi.
Oh man, you gotta be careful with pigs.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't.
That pig was
didn't
friendly,
bother me.
friendly
No,
pig.
I don't know if it was a pet or what, but he was a huge creature.
Big, yeah. Okay.
I mean, we're not talking Green Acres little pig Arnold.
Sure.
No, he was a huge thing. He just came up with his snoot going like this, and I guess that was his way of saying hi.
You're lucky. They eat people.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
yeah.
no, he didn't
I'm glad your nose is still there.
Yeah, no, he just
He's a friendly pig.
he just came right up to me and just literally just going like this, and I was like, hi.
Wild boars are extremely dangerous, though. Yeah, they're
sure.
dangerous.
Well, he was on the farm too.
He was on the farm,
And then he looked at me for a little bit, and he just kind of walked off and did his thing.
Did he live? He didn't live in the house. Did he live in the house?
I don't know that. I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay.
But see, when they were giving me the tour of the farm outside, this happened outside. I mean, this is the biggest pig I ever saw in my life. I mean, oh my goodness, this thing was huge.
Fun.
It was wide and huge and a big head. And
Maybe it could have won a prize at 4-H, you know.
I don't know, but that's a true story that happened in Nebraska. I was on my way to college from New York at that time, and
college in Nebraska?
no, I had to go through the state of Nebraska to get to the school that I was heading to, and I had a layover and got to hang out with this family of farmers, and
cool.
they bought my car that I had too, and I hopped on a Greyhound bus and just went the rest of the way to the school. It was just this old
Awesome.
generic.
So great.
I had this old like Volkswagen car. It was like
Uh.
'66 Volkswagen.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It was tough enough driving that thing from New York just to Nebraska.
Uh huh.
So they bought it off my hands because they said they could use it for their farm. They
Okay.
got me the bus ticket and made sure everything. I thought it was a fair exchange. The car was gonna break down eventually
Oh, yeah.
Right.
if I had kept driving it, but I'm sure they fixed it up. They just wanted to use it for the farm, and it had a purpose there, so that was pretty cool.
Cool, man.
And they took care of me, and I had some of the best veggies because it wasn't like going to Albertsons and get the little can
Yeah.
right off the land. They just like pick
Oh,
it off
yeah.
the ground,
Oh,
wash it
yeah,
off,
yeah.
and then made these dishes. Oh my goodness, it was so good.
I love that.
Yeah,
it was just
garden-grown
really
vegetables are always
yeah,
better.
I mean, just
always,
literally off the ground. Nope, none of that preservatives or any of that stuff. They just wash it out thoroughly, snip off the stuff, and
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've had
Eat off
tomatoes
the
even when I
land.
was trying to grow vegetables just right off. And homegrown tomatoes you grow in the garden or homegrown carrots are always better than store-bought. They're just much better, yeah.
yeah, I know, I agree. So if I were a farmer, that's probably what I want to do.
Uh-huh.
But let's see, what else can I ask you about you? Because we're almost running out of time. You know, the time goes by real fast when you're
Yeah.
I
doing this,
believe
you
it.
know.
I believe it.
And I've extended it to almost an hour. We've been here almost an hour already. It didn't even seem like it.
I know.
It's been nice. It's been lovely.
Yeah, but I just want to say, you know, good luck on your endeavors here
Hey, thanks. I
at
appreciate it.
MCAT. And if I can help you, I'd be happy to help you.
You bet.
And I'm sure Emmett will, and
Oh,
other
yeah.
people that you'll meet here. And,
And I'm here for you guys too.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Likewise.
well, I
So-
may can use your services though on that PBS show I was telling you about. I don't know if you would know who Lawrence Welk was. He was a famous music guy. Had a music show back in 1955.
Called the Lawrence Welk
The
Show.
Lawrence Welk Show. I can show you
Okay.
some clips of it when we sign off here in
Sure.
a bit. Anyway, I'm attempting to bring his show back to life. I'm just
Okay.
doing a redo of it. And it actually got picked up by PBS. So
Cool.
what I'm doing is trying to get the funding so we can do it every week at their
Okay.
studio.
Cool.
But I'm gonna hire the staff here
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
to do it there
Cool.
because I've got this budget and so on. So I can probably use your
Awesome.
services there.
I've got happy to
So.
help.
Yeah,
Well, I'll let
Lawrence-
you know.
cool
I hope,
project.
hopefully I can get this project going by 2017, maybe fall of 2017, because
Cool.
it takes time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we shot this at the Florence Hotel here in town. It's like
Okay.
a real fancy ballroom hotel, like.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to show you some of the footage there, but it was
That's
just
cool.
fun. It was just so fun.
Yeah, Lawrence Welk is wonderful. He was the one that got me into easy listening pretty much. He had an easy listening orchestra and not only did a TV show, but a lot of records too. A lot of records. I have a lot of his records. He'd just come on for an hour and he had an orchestra.
Yeah, and
would
they
do
had a little
exactly,
variety.
a little
you know,
variety, and
stuff.
singers and
Yeah.
dancers and an orchestra. They would play champagne music and people would dance to very nice, easy listening. Some of the best I've
Yeah,
heard.
and they had some bubbles on the screen.
Oh,
like
yeah, just
champagne
wonderful.
music. I'll have to show it to you.
And they have very
That's cool.
themes shows like they'd have Frank Sinatra, or they would have like a theme of about spring
Yeah.
or summertime. They'd have Christmas specials, which were adorable.
Oh, their Christmas specials were just
Oh,
right
they
on.
were wonderful.
They
Yeah.
would
Get
build
out.
these elaborate sets on that show,
Oh,
like
yeah.
nativity scenes. It was just the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Just
cool.
the coolest thing.
Yeah. Or even
So-
tributes to the working man. They would play like even some moderns from the 70s. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
The Mound had something about the linemen or something. What is that song about the linemen? Something or another and da-da-da-da.
Wichita lineman you're talking about?
Yeah, the Wichita linemen. They sang that.
that's
Was very
a
good. And
Glenn
that kind of
Campbell
thing.
hit. Well, that's for another subject. Well, we better sign up because we're out of time. So anyway, I'm glad you could be a part of this. This is a good way to start your
appreciate it.
association and be on
Yeah.
this show, Asaph Cafe. Anytime you want to appear again, here you got the idea. It's just talk.
All right.
I just play the piano and I'm going to play one last song. I'm going to give you my version of Painted Black by the Rolling Stones.
Cool.
Just a short version of it. Short version of Painted Black. Any final things you want to say, Emmett? Because we're running out of time.
Well, you've never heard one of my surreal jokes. I always say tell a surrealistic joke from high school or whatever on my television show, The Awful Truth About Society. On that one, because it's always so serious, I want to lighten it up, but it's a lighthearted show. But I make surreal jokes about washing machines and dryers and appliances that make no sense. They're so bizarre. It's so stupid and so bizarre. It's funny. That's my first one.
Great.
I made up in high school was there were these two washing machines, and they saw a hat in their way. One said to the other, "Is that in your way?" And the other said, "No, it's in your way, and it's blocking my view."
Yeah, well, hey, you're in for a treat here at this place.
I met several others like that.
Yeah. And on that note, I am Asaph Adonai, your host, and our guest again is Ian, and he's new here to the MCAT studio, and I think he's going to have a wonderful time with all the nuts here. The older nuts, anyway.
Yes.
And, of course, on my further left, affectionately, our aging rocker, Emmett. And so this will be, I think you're going to have fun here.
Oh,
And maybe you can bring your companion here sometime, too, and
Sure thing.
have her on the show. It'll be so fun. So on that note, we're going to have a wedding on the show next week. An actual wedding.
Yep.
Couple in town,
Alright.
they're getting married. Now on that note, ladies and gentlemen, until our next show, Maranatha. And I always freeze on it. That's how we go off on this show. Well, you guys make yourself at home. I'll shut this down and I'll make you a copy and it'll be fun.
Thanks, man.